welcome back everybody to look into the future. As always, we're here to think about what would you do if you can go to the future and ask yourself questions about how do you grow your firm and how do you transition to advisory services? Well, luckily for us, we can just ask the time traveler himself, Paul Latham, and learn the knowledge we need at our firms today to evolve into advisory services. And as we've talked about so many times before, become the most relevant advisor to our clients. As always, I'm Garrett Wagner, your entrepreneurial CP channel host, and I'm here to guide us on this journey to pick Paul's brain and to sit and learn like you from his wisdom. So as always, we got the legendary, the time traveler, Paul Latham of Hayden Rock Solutions. And today, Paul, I thought, given today's climate and the climate forever that CPA firms are in, to pick your brain as always, to learn from you, what are the top areas where CPAs need to change today what they're doing? I mean, you know better than anybody, so what is it that we need to do differently today?
Yeah. Hi, Gareth. Yeah, good day to everybody. We had a little bit of a chat about this beforehand. I gave this a bit of thought, as I do, and I've sort of pulled together some notes, which I'm just going to share on the screen with you. I sort of went backwards and forwards, but I think I've ended up with 3 or 4. I think really 4 areas where I think accountants need help to change, and you see them there. I think overall there's a sort of, the reason why I went backwards and forwards was this first one. I think thought leadership is a thing in itself, but it's sort of like over the umbrella. And then specifically 3 particular areas, which is process and systems and coaching and access to virtual expertise. So just taking a quick look at each of those in turn. Thought leadership. You see, I think it's really hard to change what you've always done if you're operating in a vacuum. Definition of insanity: do what you've always done, get what you've always got. So I think having somebody, an accountant needs somebody to help think outside the box. And I've just put a few examples of questions there. What about virtual? What about new added value services? How are you going to build for proactivity as a product? How are you going to structure people so that they're more inclined to think forwards rather than backwards? And by the way, this point about thought leadership, you see, in terms of the accountants, their clients are no different. Your clients, as the accountant, they benefit from someone to talk to. Being in business is a lonely place. Having someone to talk to gives you some perspective. So I do think having someone to talk to, and I've called it thought leadership, is one of the things that accountants definitely need, specifically to start getting them thinking differently to the way they've always done. But then having sort of established that, my top 3, number 1 is process and systems. And I'm really saying here, you need processes and systems as an accountant if you're going to be able to scale and leverage and replicate. And I think, again, particularly for accountants, we all know accountants like systems and checklists and structure. But I think then these systems and processes can fall into 2 parts. I'm talking about the structure in terms of having some structure in terms of what you say to your clients. So I've listed below there a few examples of what I would call structured conversations. 3 ingredients of success, 4 ways to grow, 7 wastes. There's only 2 big strategies in the world. You're either focused on growth or you're focused on your destination. There are only 4 key business owner questions. Why are you in business? What do you do to create value? How do you deliver the value? And then ultimately, did we deliver the value? So those are just examples of providing structure in terms of what you say, but you also need structure in terms of how you deliver consistently. So in our case, diagnostics, CIQ diagnostics, the biz diagnostic, the MAP planning process, a structure to how you introduce experts. We talked about it in one of the previous episodes. How are you going to deliver workshops? How are you going to produce reports? How are you going to drive accountability? And we've had conversations before about what this is really all about. These processes and systems are all about making this intangible, proactive service feel real and allowing you to productize or put the service in a box so it's easier for the customer to see. So that's number 1 in terms of the specifics. Coaching. I think accountants are like anybody else. They need coaching to help build their confidence. Coaching is partly about using those systems I've just mentioned, but I think it's mainly how you present confidently to clients. So you change their perception. Those clients have a perception of their accountant, and you need to change it to be a 21st century accountant rather than a 20th century. And if you can change their perception, you'll find it easier to sell proactive services generally, or more specific ones like business advisory. And coaching also helps you to drive accountability. We all know if you're trying to lose weight or you've got a personal trainer, you're much more likely to do it if the personal trainer is pushing you, so that you actually do what you know you need to do. And then finally, and we've talked about this a lot in recent episodes, particularly with the sort of COVID impact on business, but it was always there, access to virtual expertise. And you mentioned most relevant advisor in the opening words, Garrett. The accountant should be at the center of their client world, and our words, my words, become the most relevant advisor, become the client's go-to person. So you position yourselves as that's the perfect place for the accountant to be positioned, but then the accountant must be able to easily access expertise to solve the problems that you will discover. And basically the easiest and cheapest and most profitable way to do that is to have a virtual family office. You don't need to employ anybody. You can have this virtual team of experts around you at the center. And the great thing about that is it makes even the smallest accountant, even a one-person accountant, can then compete and win against the biggest competition, because they've just got a much more agile and effective workforce. So I think if you put those three or four things together, I think these top areas of change, and doing this for a few years with accountants in the CPA now, they need thought leadership all the way across the piece, but they're no different to your clients. And then specifically, they need help in those three areas: process and systems, coaching, and access to virtual expertise. And I think that's my view on that one, Garrett.
I mean, it's a great overall summary, whether we're in COVID right now or any other time for firms today, how to be relevant. Okay, thought leadership. What are you standing for? What are you talking about? Do you have a clear message? Process. We talk about process all the time. Solidify those intangibles. Coaching side, being able to have those conversations with your client that don't revolve around just a tax return. And then ultimately the big kicker there, that access to virtual experts, because everybody can do the same kind of generic stuff. But if you can bring in those high quality experts that really differentiate you from somebody else, you just score that win. At worst case, they've got an expert too, but you've already offered them that service.
Yeah, and I think the great thing is, if you do it right, they allow the accountant to still be at the center of the client's universe. I mean, I had an example yesterday, an accountant, doing some work with them. They have some cultural change need. I bring in a cultural change expert. I don't employ cultural change experts. I bring one in. But that person knows that they fit into my team. They're not sort of just being referred out that job, that they're actually helping me to help that client achieve their strategy. So they become part of my team. They're more like a subcontractor. And that's the one that's really, I would say, accelerated in the last, it's just pushed forward 5 years in the last 5 months. It's always been there, but now it's hugely important. But the others have always been there. And some things never change, I think, Gareth.
Yeah, I agree. These things are more relevant now than they were 6 months ago, but they're still relevant then.
Yeah.
As a firm, if we want to kind of get through this and really accelerate our future success, these are the things we need to start doing. Otherwise, maybe Paul, it's another episode. It's really just, if you're not going to do these things, look for someone to acquire you and transition out.
Yeah. Or as I said in one of those early slides there, do what you've always do and get what you've always got. And basically that's going to get increasingly hard, increasingly difficult and time consuming, and basically not as financially rewarding and not much fun. So break out of that downward spiral and create a virtuous circle.
There we go. Great advice from Paul, as always. So Paul, thank you for sharing. Thank you everybody out there for watching. And if you want to see how ready you are to embrace these concepts, how far along the curve you are to being relevant to your clients and being a forward-thinking firm, click the link below, take a quick biz survey, and we'll review the results with you. And you can see where you stand today and how ready you are for future success. As always, don't forget, you can click to subscribe to the YouTube channel, stay up to date with all the new episodes, and we challenge you today to take action to change the world and invest in yourself.